Most days I get up at about 5 o'clock a.m. and then I will get home generally somewhere between 6:30 and 7 p.m. some days. And that's just the way that it is for me at this current season in my life. All while still raising not one, not two, but three young men, of course. My sons, ages 18, 11, and 9. And I wanted to sit here and just kind of elaborate how I go about raising my kids, showing them love as a whole, and how I show them love individually. You can have multiple children, same parents, but they are completely different personalities. And that's just something that I really didn't realize until my kids were older. You see, when they're babies, they're in those little infant stages, they're tearing stuff up, they're playing with toys, they're not really that hard to please. But when they start getting to a particular age where they start getting specific about their feelings and their thoughts, their interests and stuff like that, that's when us parents, and in this case, being dad, have to be more intentional and attentive to what it is they're saying. I will let my kids speak and I will zip it. I will be quiet. I will let them say whatever it is that's on their mind. Because one thing I've learned, especially growing up, is that I felt like I wasn't heard. I felt like I really wasn't taken seriously. I grew up in an old school type of home environment, raised by my grandparents and great grandparents, that is, and my mother was a teenage mom. So yeah, there just really wasn't a lot of maturity. There wasn't a lot of just attentiveness, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying my folks didn't love me, but I just never really remembered speaking and my, what it is I have to say being analyzed and communicated properly, if that makes any sense. So with my kids, I let them all just sit down with me and talk to me about, how their day was, how they're feeling, what happened today, how did that make you feel, how did this make you feel. Just I try to like get down through the layers of my kids, which is parents. Let me tell you this right quick. If you got kids, there's layers to your children. And a lot of us are so busy and tired and worn out from the day that we just probably peel back one layer by a small casual conversation, and then just kind of they just go on about their day, go play PlayStation, go play Roblox, you go lay down or you watch YouTube or whatever it is you do. And without taking that quality time, sometimes we never get to know our kids in depth. I mean, check this out. I mean, kids are little adults in the making, development. Their personalities are constantly evolving with their environment, with what they're learning, with what they're picking up on a day-to-day basis. And, as a dad, I try to keep up. I try everything in my power to keep up with my kids, but it's hard because it's not one, it's not two, but it's three. It's three kids. Now, I'm going to describe my relationship individually, my thoughts on these kids one by one. I'm going to start with my oldest son. He's 18 and he's about to graduate high school in about 4 months. So I'm super, super happy, super proud of him. So, first of all, my oldest son takes after his mother a lot. Physically, he looks like her, looks like me a little bit, and his personality type is her all day. He's very quiet, kind of introverted, very selective with who he chooses to talk to. Me, I'm the opposite. I talk a lot. I love to conversate. I love to have fun. I'm a people person. He's not. really a people person. He's low key, but super smart young man, very smart young man. So for me to be able to talk to him, we have to be completely alone with no distractions, and I have to come down to his level of interest because there's only a select few things that pique his interests. This was something that I had to learn over time. Many years ago, I didn't understand a lot of what he was into, so I just kind of just brushed it off like, okay, that's just what he does, that's his thing, and I'm just gonna not touch it, and I'm gonna talk to him about whatever, versus me actually trying to get to know him, his interests, so to speak, better, so that I can understand him better and that I can communicate with him better. Because, folks, the more we understand our children, their interests, the things that they're into, the better we will be able to communicate with them. So, when I got to the point of being able to understand the things he enjoyed, our conversations started becoming more deep, because at first they weren't deep at all. They were just like a few words here and there, and he would just be in a hurry to go back to his room. He's like, okay, I gotta go, But when I started talking about the things in which piqued his interest and he likes, I was able to keep his attention for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes. There's been times that we've sat here and we have just had long conversations. I've taken them to the gym with me and we've had long conversations about just various different topics. And I always try to leave that door open for conversation with him and let him know that, hey, if there's anything that you ever want to talk about, no matter what it is, come to me. Like, don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm your dad. Like, some parents like to be like the big brother or the big sister. No, 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 I'm not your brother. I'm your father, but I'm also young enough to be able to relate to him, because I ain't super old. I ain't but 39. So, but yeah, my conversations with him are not super frequent, but we do talk every day. Maybe not as deeply as I would like to, but I also don't like an unnatural atmosphere, and I don't like anything to be pushed or pressured, because that's just not the type of person that he is, at least at this point in his life. He still has some maturing to do, because, like I said, I know he's 18, and a lot of 18-year-olds think that they're grown, but he does not think that way at all. He's not rebellious. He's not out in these streets. He's not doing things that he shouldn't be doing. He's, like I said, he's a great kid. Not perfect, but in my opinion, a very, very good young man compared to what I see a lot in the streets. Because when I was 18 years old, I was doing a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. I was going to parties, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing things that teenage boys do. I'm just trying to, let you think about that. And that's not really him. So, and I try to affirm that, to let him know, like, hey, you don't have to do what the other boys at your school do. That doesn't make you cool. That doesn't change you. That doesn't make you a man. None of that different type of stuff. You don't have to do that. And he's smart enough to realize, like, I don't want to be like those guys, because they're constantly in trouble. They're always up to no good. And, I just want better for myself. And knowing that he's aware of that makes me sleep good at night, to be honest with you, because some parents ain't sleeping at night because their kids are out and about just raising hell and doing, God knows what at the end of the day. So, my other son, so that brings me to son number two. My middle son, he is 11 years old. I don't have favorites. Let me just say that. But I do believe that there's always going to be that one child that sticks out more than the others. And it doesn't diminish, and that's not to say it diminishes, folks, the personality of your other kids. It doesn't make them better than your other kids, but he's just different. That's just the best way I can put him. When he was born, This boy had baby blue eyes, and I was looking at him. I'm like, is this the right kid? He had these beautiful, beautiful blue eyes, and down the line, the lineage, of course, he must have got it because he definitely didn't get it from me. He didn't get it from my wife. But as time grew, his eyes ended up changing into like a hazel olive type of color. But just to describe his features, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful child. But his heart is more beautiful. We knew at a very early age that he was gifted and that he was different. He just has this like natural sense of consideration. He always thinks of other people, like all the time, like other his brothers, me, his mom. He's always like thinking of us. Like, for example, I'll get ready to take them to school, and we go out of the door and he's looking at his little brother like, he just went out of the door. Let me get his jacket because he forgot his jacket. So he will grab his jacket because my youngest son just sometimes he's we'll get to him in a minute, but yeah, he'll do things like that. Very considerate when we're out and about, and if one of the boys isn't with us and we're at the grocery store and we get snacks, he's like, "Hey, we got to get, big bro a snack, or we got to get little bro a snack." Like that's just him by nature, and very great student at school as well. Always helping others, always doing things for others. Um, but at home, I gotta say that me and him, our relationship is probably the strongest out of my three kids. And it's not for lack of trying with my other children, but our relationship is very, very, very close because it ever since he was a baby, we've always just had this bond, and he's always gravitated towards me more so than his mom. He only gravitates to his mom when he wants something, but most of the time throughout the day, he tends to like gravitate towards dad. So very vocal child, not introverted at all. Um, Wants to be heard, wants to be seen. Very flashy child. um, Out of all my boys, he has a really amazing sense of fashion. He takes after me a lot. He loves shoes. He loves just cologne, body spray, and all that stuff. Mind you, he's only 11, but I also started doing those things around that age as well. So I know he takes after me in that regard. But our conversations are very complex but simple, because again, he's not as old as my oldest, so the conversations are not on the same level. But as far as like the depth, we definitely talk about a lot of different things. He's a question asker. He will ask question after question after question. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't bite his tongue. And for me, that challenges me as a father to be ready to be able to talk to him because I just never know what type of question he's going to ask me because it could be anything, and I just have to be ready to give him an answer. And it just can't be like any simple answer. I have to give him an answer that's of satisfactory to him so he can be satisfied with it, because much like me, he doesn't let things go very easily. So he takes after me in regards of holding on to things. He takes after me in regards of just constantly wanting to know everything. You can't leave him out of a conversation without giving him, you have to give him the details. Like, other than that, he's just not going to be satisfied, and he's going to let you know. He has a little bit of attitude, just like me. If somebody is not being straight with me and I feel like they're not being straight with me, I'm not gonna talk to you, or I'm gonna be over here, and you're gonna see it in my personality. And he's the same way. I know when he's upset. I know when he's mad. I know when he's in his feelings. So I try to neutralize that as soon as I can. But that's just again a part of parenting. Um, Nothing like my oldest son. Absolutely nothing. My oldest son, again, very chilled, very laid back, introvert. My middle son, extroverted, out there, needs to know everything to the T. So our conversations, like I said, are much different than my oldest son. So, and finally, my youngest son, who is about to turn 10 this summer. So he's 9. Who, how do I describe him? Tasmanian devil. That's the best way I can really describe him. He, out of my 3 kids, is the most passionate. He is very passionate, very emotional, but also shy, if that makes any sense. He's passionate, emotional, and shy. He's shy in school settings. One of the issues in which we constantly have every school year is how he won't speak up in class. Like the teachers are like, he's quiet, we can't hear him, he doesn't talk loud. Some of the other students say the same thing. And I'm like, well, he doesn't act like that at home. I don't really know why he has a hard time getting comfortable around the kids and the teachers. I don't know. We just have not been able to figure that out. But he definitely has a voice. Very emotional. Um, he gets that from, I gotta say, he gets that from both me and his mother. His mom can be, when she was younger, she was very emotional. Now that she is much older, not much older, like she old and nothing like that, but she's older now. Her emotions are a little bit more, or a lot more actually, intact. Especially if there's no problems at home, if there's no drama going on. She's not very, she doesn't like get upset very easily. She used to get very upset when she was younger. And for me, on my end, I don't get emotional, but I do get like kind of loud when, something's like out of order. The kids do something, they're like, hey, what's going on here? That's just embedded in me. I get that from my mom. My mom gets that from her dad, and I don't know where he got it from. So one of his parents. That's just embedded in me. But my youngest son, he gets very emotional when he doesn't get his way. So crying, he's still is in this crying phase. He still is in this stomping phase. I believe that his maturity is not really, it's not on time. At least I don't think. It's not on time because I try to not compare my kids with each other, but I kind of low key have to. I'll go back and say, okay, where was he? How did he act when he was 9? How did he act when he was 9? And neither of them act the way that my youngest acts. Now, don't get me wrong, he doesn't sit around crying and whining like all day, but it's just like, hey, take the phone away, take the tablet away. Um, by him being the baby, he does get bothered by his brothers often. Like that's just completely normal, of course, for big brothers to mess with their little brothers. So sometimes that'll happen, and he gets emotional and starts to cry and whine and stomp and all of that stuff. So, but passionate, and by passionate I mean he loves his mom. We were looking at pictures yesterday. These were a photo shoot that me and my wife did. They were wedding pictures, wedding collage for a local photographer. And he looked at those pictures and said, "I wanted to marry Mama. I wanted to marry Mommy." So I was like, "You can't marry your mom. Like this is my wife. Go get your own." So Um, out of my all of my sons, he has expressed the strongest interest in females. He definitely loves girls, and it seems like he loves older women. So there's been times we have brought him around women, like maybe some of my friends' wives or something like that, and he will like try to like get close to them and all different type of stuff. And I'm like, wow, so you already showing us that you're gonna be a problem when you are older. So, but in that regard, he's a very, very loving lover boy, we'll call him. Kisses mom every single night. That's just him. Now, as far as like communication goes, this is a little bit of a struggle for me and him. So out of my three kids, I struggle a little bit to communicate with him. Again, he doesn't put his words together as fluently as my other two sons. He does struggle some in school with reading, which is, he's gotten a lot better. We're working really hard to help him in that regard, and he does have a tutor this year. So um, he understands everything that his brothers understand. So he doesn't have a issue with understanding things or comprehending things. It's just, his words, putting his words together is a little challenging for him. But when it's something that he really wants to say, he will say it, and we will look at him and like, did you really say that? Like, you said that so clearly with such intent and demand behind it. Like, why can't you talk like this with everything? And as years went on, I really began to like try to put the pieces together. If he's really interested in something, then he can be very precise. But on the other end, if he is not interested at all, he's not going to communicate at all. He's just going to shut down. He's just not going to care, or he's going to lose interest in it if he doesn't find something fascinating. And that's just something that a lot of schools don't really understand, in my opinion, because they feel that academically kids need to be performing the way they feel like they should be performing. And they don't consider that a lot of the curriculum may not be stimulating the mind of every child. And they just overlook the creativity side of the child, which brings me to him. He has a very creative mind. He can edit videos. I couldn't do that at the age of 9. Very, very creative with building things. He can do that. He can make just about anything out of paper. Like, he's just very smart in that regards. So with him, my communication is more so embracement. Like, I hold him a lot. I hug him every day. I do what I can to let him know that I love you with all of my heart, like just the way that you are. And I feel like I have to do that because I'm competing with his mom. Not really, but again, he's a mom's boy. He loves his mother, and he gravitates so deeply to her that sometimes he'll just kind of like bypass me. And I have to like, intervene and to let him know, like, daddy loves you too. You don't have to, you got more than one parent. So just, take advantage of it because, mama wants you over here with me. She's like, hey, your dad. There's certain things I can't teach him that you can teach him. So, you do that and you got that. So, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, me and him, we have a bond that's different. His personality is exactly like mine's when I was young, because when I was his age, I also struggled in some of the same areas that he struggles in school. And my personality was much like he was at his age. Very mischievous, likes to get into things. He is, out of all of my kids, the one that will dance and not care what anybody thinks or what anybody has to say. And that's what I love about him. His sense of humor is a lot better than my other two sons. My oldest son doesn't have a sense of humor at all. My middle son, again, he is the pretty boy who strives for perfection. So he can't let you see him doing anything childish. But my youngest son, oh, he's going to let you know straight up. If it's funny, he's gonna bust out laughing. He's gonna make fun of you, not in a mean way, but that's just teasing for fun. That's just what we do around here in my home. We joke around a lot, and he definitely is not afraid to do that. So, but just in that right there, that's a nutshell of me just breaking down the different personalities of my kids and how I, as a father, communicate with them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not easy. It is not easy raising multiple children. I mean, heck, if you got like one child, that's not easy to do. I when we just had one son for 7 years, like my oldest, things were so easy, like, because again, he was not a troublesome child. It was very, very smooth sailing. But when the other two came around, it really challenged me as a man and challenged me as a father as well to get more intentional about actually peeling back the layers of these children, because one of my biggest fears is my kids growing up and I don't know who they are and they don't know who I am, because for lack of quality time, for lack of effort on my end, for lack of intentionality on my end, for putting work above my kids. I've had to like pull back, just so I can spend that extra time with my children. I've created a whole schedule for us. We do something every single Thursday evening, go out, have some fun. Each week, I let them decide, one of them decide what we're going to do for that day. And that is my way of spending time with them as a whole, because, even though I give them that individual love, those individual conversations, I still like to like take them together so they can understand the importance of bonding, like male bonding, and the importance of their sibling relationship. Because I tell them this, they probably hate it when I say it, is that daddy may not be here forever, and I want you guys to always be here for one another and have each other's back and take care of each other and love each other and support each other, just in case something happens to me one day. You will always have one another. One of my prayers, I'm not gonna lie, is that I get to see, my grandkids one day. I really want to see my one grandchildren really bad. Just the legacy continuing, seeing the fruits of my labor, and that everything in which I poured into my sons was well worth it. So, but being a dad is a very amazing privilege, and it is just an honor. It is an honor. It is a blessing. I would never change it for anything. They all came at the perfect time in our lives. They're a blessing to my wife. They love her very much. They love me very much. I know some people that can't say that right now. They're having a hard time with their kids, and it's just a struggle for some folks. But in my household, it's not a struggle at all, because our kids are just freaking amazing, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. I tell you that right now. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. We're at nearly 30 minutes, but I kind of figured it was gonna take some time to sit here and break down each of my kids one by one. So, if you like this type of content, comment down below, please. I wanna know. I want to know. So, if you're a parent, even better, comment down below your experience with your children. What do you do with your kids to ensure that your relationship is solid and it's tough and it's hard and no one can break it? I want to know. What do you do with your children? Maybe you can give me some advice. Maybe I can give you some advice. I don't know. Maybe we can just give each other some advice. That's the whole thing. Sharing is caring. All right, folks. Like this video, comment, subscribe if you are new, and share the video as well. We would love to, but really, really do me a favor and like the video, because it helps out the channel tremendously. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.